Now, the reason that I decided to put together this webinar was for one massive reason, being the fact that nobody loves cold calling. Is that fair? Can I get an amen or a heck yes?
Yep.
Right. What if we were to create a system around cold calling where we could actually have predictable results? Would that be a little bit more appealing to you?
That would be helpful.
That would be helpful. So I want to set the conversation right now being very, very vulnerable with you, because this is only for people that I'm in business with, or, clients of myself, Brian, or any other individual that I'm in business with. And one item that I really want us to dive into is the fact that I was never great at cold calling. Truthfully, if I'm thinking back to my very first week of cold calling, I still get butterflies in my stomach. I still get my palms sweating. And honestly, I was not always good at it either. The first week of making those calls, I booked 0 appointments and I was making over $100 a day. Now, after reading and watching so many different webinars from so many different sales reps and professionals, in the following 6 months of that first week, I was able to book 800 held recruiting appointments with producing agents. That wasn't
Wow.
just by working hard, because I'll be honest with you, that was through utilizing a real system. In fact, and I was talking to Ron Ortez about this, me and Ron, we have a very similar issue that we have. And it's the issue that I want to give to you guys, every single person on this call. After leveraging the exact frameworks and scripts that we're going to be leaning into today, my whole goal for everybody on this call is to be so good at making their calls. Their only downside is that they don't have room in their calendar anymore for booking appointments. Is that fair? Is that a good problem to have? Because I know, and I'm picking on Ron right now because I just got off my call with him yesterday. Ron's biggest objection was, hey, I'll make one call and I'll book one appointment. And then, I'll make another call, book another appointment. And that's the issue. That's the exact same stuff. I want to give everybody the exact same problem. But the first thing that I want you guys to realize right now is that it's okay if you're not great at it right now. It's okay. The fact that you are a little bit anxious, that's also okay about cold calling. We're one system away. We are one system away from being amazing at picking up the phones, dialing and booking appointments. And that starts right now. Can I get a heck yeah?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm going to share my screen with that being said. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So skill to scale, mastering the call. Okay. The first thing I want everybody to be aware of right now, and you may have seen this if you're in my internal Facebook group, but the fact of the matter is that realtors moved companies. Okay. A NAR statistic showed that 30% of agents switched companies within the last 12 months. Now, I'm not going to be reading off these slides because you guys can already make the connection. At the end of the day, how many of those individuals met with you before switching companies? 1%, 2%, 0%? How many of them actually reached out? How many of them did you actually reach out to before they made a move? Right? The biggest mental block I want you guys to remove is the fact that agents are moving. Now, I'll take it one step further. A lot of individuals see that 30% number and they wrongly assume, that these are just new agents making moves. Nearly 50%, nearly half of those agents that made moves were actually producing agents doing over 3.5 million in volume annually. I want you to think about that for a sec. What would 3.5 million in volume do for you and your brokerage? If that's the baseline of agents making moves on average, like the 50%. For some of your brokerages, that's 20,000. For some of your brokerages, it's over that, depending if you have a cap model or not. If you're running a team, I know we have some team owners on this call as well. If I'm looking at 3.5 million in volume, are you telling me that that'd be an additional $60,000, $70,000 in gross commission to your team? I want us to start thinking about that. Okay. I know we talk a lot about prospecting, emailing, cold calling, and leveraging the other systems that we have built into our business. but the phones are a fail-safe way to win. Jake, we talked about this morning. I'm going to pick on you really quick. Is it fair that when we talk this morning and we know that agents are making moves in your market, we're not just going to send them a text? We're actually going to pick up the phone and call?
It's fair.
Jake, did you just tell me before I clicked record that you just booked 3 appointments after our call?
I did.
Boom.
You did.
He did. I love
Awesome.
I love that. And it fires me up because I didn't tell Jake to say that. Like, that's him just being in action. We know that agents are making moves. Let's start to leverage this system. Okay. Next slide. Okay. There was 2 images here that haven't showed up, but are you guys familiar with like gold sifters or alchemists? So a sifter are those individuals who dig for gold. They go in those rivers, they're getting all the dirt, and they're sifting all the dirt and all the rocks, and they're looking for all the gold, right? Alchemists are somebody who's essentially is trying to turn nothing into something. Alchemists are trying to turn water into wine, hypothetically. Alchemists are trying to turn a bad situation to a good situation. I wanted to put this slide in here because our main intention of making calls isn't to turn some individuals who aren't motivated in making moves to meeting with us. Okay? We're not alchemists. We're not trying to convince people on these calls. We're trying to sift through people. And it's something I want us all to write down right now is that we're sifting for individuals who are motivated to grow their business. We are sifting through. That's our main intention that we have here. We're not trying to turn individuals who aren't motivated in growing their businesses to becoming top agents. That's not our jobs here. Our jobs are to find the motivated. Okay. I'm going to give you a really interesting analogy that you're never going to forget. And I've told some of my clients on this call the exact same thing. If you are a single individual, hypothetically, and you're trying to get married, would you ever try to go on a date with somebody who's happily married, or would you go after somebody who's already single and has similar values to you?
Right.
Well, you tell me. Would you rather go on a date with somebody who's happily
Somebody that's not married.
Amen.
If you're really looking for a marriage partner.
Exactly. So our intention needs to be that we're not trying to date somebody who's already happily married. We're trying to find the motivated. And we're going to see that in these scripts. Okay. So the other thing I want us to leverage and understand as well is the fact that every recruiting conversation is exactly the same. Okay. You're going to be in the next coming slides, you're going to see some very specific lines, some very specific questions that we can leverage and we can utilize. But the biggest purpose of me putting this slide in here is the fact that every recruiting conversation is exactly the same. And in fact, I'll take it a step further, regardless of what kind of business or what kind of sales you're in specifically, the exact same frameworks are going to take place. A lot of you already know this, but we're going to talk about how we can pitch a vision. How do we understand somebody's vision on the phone? How can we ask questions about their gaps? Yeah. How can we gap sell? And then ultimately, how can we close the gap on the phone and provide so much value just through asking questions? They're begging to meet with us. It doesn't matter if we're selling mortgages. It doesn't matter if we're selling an insurance. It doesn't matter if we're selling them, people joining our brokerage. It is the exact same framework, system, and model, okay? Okay, so the first 4 seconds, these are, okay, is it fair? And you guys have already heard this before. We need to be so intentional in the first 4 seconds of making a call, because if you don't do well from the get-go, they're going to know it's a sales call. And let me ask you, is anybody on this call ever actually excited to be sold? No. Is that fair? I can't see anybody, so I can't see anybody nodding. But who wants to be sold actively, and who wants to get a ton of cold calls? Is that fair that nobody wants to get a ton of cold calls?
Correct.
Do not.
Amazing. So what are we going to do? We are going to be, and I want you to write down these 3 things. We need to be sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as heck, and we need to be a perceived, I said absolute, but we need to be a perceived expert on the phones. And we're going to talk about exactly what we're going to say in order to get there. But I just want you to keep that top of mind. In fact, I still have that on a sticky note, literally on my wall. Sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as heck, and a perceived expert. Okay. I also know that passion moves people. If I was talking very monotoned on this call, would you guys be engaged with me? No, it's no different on calls. You need to leverage passion and you need to genuinely be excited about the product that you're going to be selling and talking to the individual about. Okay. So the other item that I really want us to dive into is really more that communication is not just words. As you'll see here, I actually stole this from Tony Robbins. Body language is 45% of it. Your tone is another 45%, and 10% of it is words. When you're making your calls, and I'm literally at a standing desk right now, especially when I make my calls, I have my shoulders back, I have my chest up, and I have a smile on my face always. The tone's going to close somebody before the actual words do. Right? Your energy is contagious, like it says right on the slide. So you want to make sure that you're genuinely excited to make these calls. And honestly, in all honesty, you might as well not pick up the phone if you're going to be monotoned and you're not going to be able to provide somebody your energy. Is that fair?
Right.
Awesome. So, and even we'll talk about this when I actually show you the exact script that we're going to be using. But even when you're asking questions, and like I understand that when you're asking somebody questions, lean in a little bit. When you're saying lean back a little bit. It's going to be natural and it's going to come to you, but it makes that much of a difference in the way that you're actually going to be able to move somebody through your energy alone. Okay. So another item that really goes into what I just said: people buy from people who sound like them. Mirror their pace, mirror their tone, match their energy, and like I said, lean in, lean out, start listening, use your hums, and really mirror them. Okay. The other item that I really want to dive into quickly as well is the fact that we don't want to solve their pain right away. Okay. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen really, really quickly. We don't want to solve their pain right away. What does that mean? On the phones. Jake, we talked about it this morning, so I'm going to pick on you again.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to pitch solutions. You don't want to hear what their grief or pain point is and start talking about how you can solve them and tell them exactly what you'll do to fix that.
Most individuals, the perceived notion and thought is that they need to know, like, and trust us before they decide to make a move with us or book an appointment. And I'm going to debunk that right now. Right. I'll give you a really quick story. So 10, maybe even 12 years ago now, we went to Myrtle Beach, right? My family, my dad drove us to Myrtle Beach, and that's about maybe a 12-hour drive from my house. Okay. Long drive, long road trip. Now, my dad has used the mechanic for his entire life. The same mechanic. He knows the mechanic. He loves the mechanic, loves the brand, and loves the value proposition that the mechanic leverages and utilizes. My dad would never use a different mechanic if his life depended on it. However, my dad was also driving 12 hours. And
I do.
Sorry about that. A little bit of feedback. If you guys can just put yourself on mute there quick. So digging into that a little bit deeper, in West Virginia, the car broke down. My dad had 4 other kids in the car and a wife, and he knew that he needed to either get a new car in Virginia or he needed to get it repaired by a mechanic. Even though my dad had extreme loyalty to his old mechanic back in Canada, does he care with the amount of pain that essentially is in his world right now? Does he care about the actual mechanic himself or the value that he's going to be providing, or does he care about just getting the solution fixed?
Just getting the solution fixed.
Just getting the solution fixed. When we're on the phones right now, and you can see it really quickly behind me, we're going to be able to challenge people about their negative present that they're in right now. And then we're going to be able to close on creating a vision. That's the same thing the mechanic did. Hey, how long can you go without, without fixing that car? And obviously closing to what's your world going to look like as a result of fixing it. You're also, depending on this quality of the questions that you ask, price is also not going to be an objection for you. A lot of individuals always talk about, oh, my brokerage is so much more expensive, but your value is also so much more expensive too if you're framing your value in the right way. Is that fair that if my dad's 2,000 kilometers away or miles away from home, his car is broken down, that mechanic can afford to charge a little bit more? Because the value is there. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. That's my little story, though, about justifying not solving individuals' pain right away, okay? Okay, so this is the actual script. Take a picture of it, write it down, but this is the script from A to Z. And I'm obviously going to dive into it over here, but really quickly, I told you that individuals need to feel your enthusiasm. They need to feel that you're sharp as a tack, and you need to be a perceived expert. How are you going to do that? And some of this stuff might sound elementary, but I want you to say it exactly this way, okay? The first thing that we need to do and need to understand is we need to use their name. So for example, instead, you might right now, if I were to make a cold call, some of you individuals may say, hi, is this Penny? If I'm saying, hi, is this first name, is it fair that automatically it's going to be a sales call? If I'm asking a question?
Yes.
Typically, yeah.
Get
Yeah.
those all the time.
Yeah. Hi, is this Jennifer? Hi, is this Ron? Hi, is this David? Sales call. Hang up. I hate that. Also, you're not enthusiastic. You're not sharp as a tack, and you're not an expert because you don't even know who you're calling. Stop trying to be nice. Have a little bit of confidence. Hey, first name, it's David Sienna giving you a shout from Scale with Sienna. The purpose of my call is, so that's the first step. And you're going to be able to do that in the first second or so. So we have 4 seconds total. That's going to take you 1 second maybe. Hi, first name, not hi, is this first name, but hi, first name. The second thing that we can leverage, we're obviously all recruiters on this call in some way, shape, or form. Hey, hey, first name, it's David Sienna giving you a shout from Scale with Sienna. The purpose of my call today is I'm reaching out to some of the top agents in the area, stroking their ego by recognizing them as a top agent in the area. Okay, that's also probably within the first second and a half. The purpose of my call is I'm reaching out to some of the top agents in the area. And as we're now in the second half of 2025, I wanted to see how you were doing in your business as we're now, stepping into the second half. I kind of butchered that, but you get what I'm getting at. Hey, It's David Sienna giving you a shout from XYZ Realty. The purpose of my call is I'm reaching out to some of the top agents in the area to see how they're doing as we're now in the second half of 2025. How's your business doing? Ask great questions and find gaps. Relate and share how you can help and close. To give you the real script of what all of my clients are using to book appointments like crazy. I know Andrew Smith isn't on the phone. I know he's converting 1 out of every 10 dials that he makes. He'll book at least 3 appointments. Dials, not even conversations, off of this exact same script. And as you'll see here, to dive into it a lot deeper, hi, first name. This is so-and-so calling from wherever. Did I catch you at a bad time? Sometimes I say that, sometimes I don't. The purpose of my call is I'm reaching out to some of the top agents in the area to see how they're doing as we're heading into the second half of 2025. Guys, what are the 2 things that they can say? They're going to say great or they're going to say poor. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to steal Sean Graham's line because I love what Sean said. Sean said a hilarious line where Sean said, great. Sean, do you want to read this one out or should I?
That's the first time I've heard that today.
When an agent goes ahead and they say, yeah, I'm actually having the best year ever, Sean delivered that line and I couldn't stop laughing. That's amazing, first name. I've been talking to agents from your company all day, and you're the first person who's told me that. So really, how has your year been? Are you on pace to hit all of your goals? And then as we can see here, these are the exact questions that you would ask. No, I'm actually, not hitting my goals at all. I hear you. This year's far from over, and we still got a lot of time left to hit our mark. And questions that I would ask, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen just so I can make eye contact with everybody. What are your goals that you've set for yourself? I know that you're not reaching your mark that you set out for yourself. What was your original goal? Oh, my goal was to do 10 million in volume. That's amazing. How long have you been trying to do 10 million in volume? Okay, I know you mentioned you're a little bit behind. It's a shifting market, so I get it. If you were to implement one thing inside your business that would help you get to 10 million in volume guaranteed, what would that one thing be? Well, I would need more leads. Okay, amazing. What are you doing to lead generate right now? Okay. If what type of lead generation would you want to implement inside your business? Amazing. And then we go for the close. And what we're doing, I'm just going to showcase this. Can everybody see this okay? What we're doing right now, and I would always have this out. I'm actually going to erase this because we don't need to know about the negative future. What we're doing on the phones is we're asking them questions. Hey, it's David Sienna giving you a shout from Scale with Sienna. Did I catch you at a bad time? Hey, the purpose of my call today is I'm reaching out to some of the top agents to see how they're doing as we're heading into the second half of 2025. I'm not hitting my goals. I can definitely appreciate that. What was your goal that you've set for this year? 10 million in volume? Amazing. What's important about 10 million in volume? And then you ask more questions about that. How long have you been trying to get there? If you were to implement one thing inside your business that would help you get to there, what would that one thing be? Well, I need more leads. Okay, what are you doing to lead generate right now? Okay, how has that been working? Oh, it hasn't been working great? I can totally appreciate that. If you could implement something new, what would that be? Oh, social media? I actually know an agent. Are you familiar with Sean Graham in my office? Yeah, Sean Graham actually did, and we're going for the close. Sean Graham actually did an additional $65,000 this quarter from social media alone. Without any commitment and making a move, would you see value in learning exactly how he did that? Does that make sense really quickly? Those, and I'm going positive present, finding the gaps and going right to the positive future. Does that make sense? Okay, I've been yapping for the last 25 minutes. Give me some ahas. I'm just going to grab my whiteboard eraser, but I can hear you. Give me some ahas really quick. Anybody?
I'm trying to get unmuted. So I like the without any commitment of making a move, would that give you value to learn about how he did that? That's like no strings attached, but wouldn't you love to know how to get $65,000 more dollars?
Do you want to know why that's important? So you'll see behind me, buy, sell, do. When we're booking appointments, and this is something I want us to write down, get it tattooed on your forearm, on your forehead, whatever. If somebody feels like they need to buy something, sell something, or do something, what's the probability that they're going to show up to the appointment? Low.
Yeah, it's better if they've got a genuine need, they want to show up.
If they feel like they have to buy something, sell something, do something, it's going to be hard to get them to show up. And that's why some of us don't have the best possible conversion rates. How can I increase your conversion rate immediately? What we're doing, so we talked about the 4 quadrants, right? Positive present, negative future. How are you doing? Where are your gaps? If I could, this is positive future. If I could show you how so-and-so did that in my office, would you see value in showing up? What we're doing, guys, and this is the funnel that I look at. What we're doing is we're inviting them to a call, right? We're telling them that, hey, by the way, on this call, you can learn all about our company. You can learn all about our systems and models. And then without any commitment, we're selling the exit. Without any commitment, you can leave the appointment. Well, is this a recruiting conversation? Of course it's a recruiting conversation, Penny. I'm always looking to get into business with great agents. However, I don't even know if we're a fit for each other. I don't even know if we're a fit. We're selling the exit harder than we sold the invite. This is like the magic that nobody talks about on how you're going to have over 80% of your appointments attend. Would you guys see value if I dug more into getting the attendance rate higher rather than going into the script? Or would you rather us dive right into the script? Or would you rather us spend more time on making sure these appointments attend now? Tell me.
Spend more time making sure they attend.
Okay, perfect. So we now know this is the script. We're positive present, negative present, positive future. We're inviting them to the call where they're going to take all the information, and then we're selling the exit. Fair? How are we going to get these individuals? And this, some of you guys already have this implemented, which is okay. Not everybody has a system to ensure that people are showing up. This is exactly what we're going to do, because it doesn't matter if we book 100 appointments if 0% of them show up. I'd be heartbroken if we had 75% or less attend. That would break my heart. I don't want you guys having a sloppy calendar. I want to make sure that the appointments we book are actually showing up. How are we going to do that? So we obviously sold the fact they don't have to buy, sell, or do anything, right? What we're now going to do is as soon as we book the appointment and confirm the date and time, we're going to send them a calendar invite on Google. We're also immediately going to be sending them a text confirming that they got it. Okay? Second step. If you booked the appointment, and this is where a good system, we need a good system, whether we have it in Follow-Up Boss, Command, or whatever other CRM we're using, we need some sort of system in place that's automated. You can even use a VA. But we're going to send the calendar invite on Google. We're going to send them a text saying, hey, Jake, just confirming, I said, very nice chatting with you. I just sent you a calendar invite for our appointment on XYZ time. Okay. Second step we're going to do is we're going to send them a piece of value. For example, Ron Ortez made me a kick-ass Instagram reel. I send that to every friggin' person that I book an appointment with. Patty, you're on this call, right? Hopefully, maybe not. I met with Patty last Friday. I sent her that exact same video, Ron, because it is so good. Yeah. I'm providing value. So we're going to do a value add. Okay? Ron in that video talked about why he's killing it. Third step we're going to do. This is something important. We are never getting ghosted ever. We are never getting ghosted ever. If hypothetically, let's say we send them a calendar invite, they don't respond to it. We send them a text, they don't respond to it. We send them a piece of value, they don't respond to it. And then by the way, we're going to send a text the day before. If they don't respond to the calendar invite, the text, the value piece, or the text the day before, is it kind of feeling like we're getting a little bit ghosted?
Yeah.
Patty, can I pick on you for a sec?
Sure.
I booked an appointment with Patty. This is like literally, and Patty, I'm telling you all my secrets right now because you're on the other end of me recruiting you. I booked an appointment with Patty. I sent her a calendar invite. I sent her a text. I sent her a piece of value. I sent her a text message the day before. I didn't hear from her the day of, though. Okay? The morning of, the exact text that we're going to send somebody to every recruit we booked an appointment with is, hey, first name. I'm really excited to meet with you. However, I see that you did not respond to any of my invites or confirmations. Please respond to me by 9 a.m. this morning, or I'll have to cancel our appointment together. I'll have to cancel our appointment together because I have another agent who wants to join my brokerage. I have another coaching client who wants to be in business with me. Patty, I sent you the exact same message, and it also helps if it's true, which is why we need to consistently lead generate like this. because you're going to be, you don't care if you have to cancel an appointment because you got a flow of appointments. You have a flow of leads. I saw a lot of nodding, but is that powerful or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ghost them before they ghost you. Woo, you guys got me sweating right now. Holy cow. Okay. Whew. Ahas, takeaways.
Yeah, David, I think it's huge. I think when you and I chatted about that initially, it was the whole notion of we are in control of our calendar, and this keeps us in control of our calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's empowering. It's empowering us to not feel ghosted or rejected or like like what you were talking about, the description about hating to do cold calls. It's like I'm in control of my time, and why am I going to leave this hour open when I could be planning something productive that's actually going to grow my business, just waiting on you to see if you're going to show up and see if I know something that could even help you. It's their loss, not ours. It's our loss if we let them be in power. That's the real truth, because you've given up an hour for somebody who could give a flip.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Love that. And I know everybody that I'm in business with, you guys all believe in your value proposition. I'm not in business with anybody who's just trying to sell to sell. Everybody on this call that I'm personally in business with, I know how much you believe in your value proposition. You guys know that at the end of the day, and I've said this to everybody I'm in business with on this call, and if you're not in business with me yet, I'll say this to you right now. We're doing them a benefit. We're not doing that. We're doing them a favor by letting them enter our calendars, not the other way around. We are the value. We are the prize. We're giving them a benefit to meet with us so we can help them grow their business, not the other way around. We're not ever recruiting, we're attracting. Utilizing that script and utilizing the 4 quadrants and doing all this stuff, we're attracting. That's why I'm so passionate about this script, is because it keeps you in authority. What other ahas do we have? I know that was like the quickest 35 minutes ever.
So David,
go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of takeaways from here, ahas. So we've talked about this before in our coaching calls, but it's the actual really believing and when you're having a conversation and when you're having your calls, you're going through your script, is remembering that you're not there to convince anybody. You're not there to sell anybody. You're there to help them. You're coming from contribution and obviously to attract them as well. And then you just also added in at the very end is ghost before you get ghosted. That concept, that whole conversation, that follow-up, so that it does protect your mindset from making additional calls. It protects you, the strength of your mind when you're going, you're just got to continue moving on to the next one, and you can't let this and this. So I think this is super powerful. Like knowing when you're making your calls, your mind has to be in the framework of, I am here to find gold. Somebody wants to move their business forward. I'm here to help them grow their business or fix their business. And if you get to the end and they didn't respond, ghost them before they ghost you. So you don't need that rejection doesn't enter your mind. Super powerful.
That's a mic drop moment. I think you articulated that entire, you articulated the last 35 minutes in 2 seconds. I love that. But it's so true. We need to, everything we do, like even with the sifting versus the alchemist conversation, and I know you guys are never going to forget that. If somebody is looking to retire, no offense, I'm not booking an appointment with them. If somebody only wants to write 5 transactions a year and they're happy with that, I'm not convincing them on why they should, I'm not convincing a pony on why they should be a racehorse.
when I think on top of that too, you know, we look at the concept of like, you know, when I'm looking at say my pond or the board, and I'm going, okay, I'm going to target, you know, cappers, right? I'm going to target cappers because that's a for sure thing, that type of thing. But it could be a capper, but I want to make sure that they want to like 10x their business. So they want to at least double X their business. Like they want to increase their business, not just stay the same where they are. Yes, you could settle for that, but you're going to really see them thrive. Are you going to help them build and create their own business? So, you know, I think that's some powerful stuff.
I'll take it a step further. So I actually fired a client 3 weeks ago now because the individual would not leverage any of this stuff, and the person would not get away from the script of saying, hey, I just joined I just joined the area and I want to grab coffee I want to meet as many people as I possibly can. Because guess what happens? If you're meeting with people in general, what's your closing rate going to look like? If you're meeting with
let me answer that, because that's how I started. Ask me how many.
But you didn't stick with that. We're still in business.
Ask me how many appointments I was booking and how many people actually followed through. Almost none.
Right.
What's your conversion rate? What's your conversion rate look like now that you're implementing this?
It's pretty high. It's, you know,
I know it is, but I want tell everybody the number. It's what? One of the appointment? Tell them the number.
I don't know. It's probably gosh. Well, let's see. Like yesterday, I mean, I can pick up the phone and I can usually book 2 out of 5 in a session. So it just kind of compounds that way. So if somebody says, Ron, book 4 appointments today, my mind automatically goes to 4 appointments, and I just start calling, and my mind becomes intentional of what my purpose is in that phone call is to get that appointment.
But I'm even talking about the appointment itself. Your conversion rate on the appointment.
Conversion point. Oh, super high. I have very few.
That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting at right now. Is when you were booking just to book coffees, your conversion rate was awful. But when you started booking, now you're closing 1 out of every person you meet with. That's the importance of doing this. Is you're building the. Does anybody know about the parable about building a
my
foundation?
Conversion rate my conversion rate is probably like 80 to 90% of all of my appointments.
And that's what I'm getting at right now. And is anybody familiar with the parable about building your foundation on the sand rather than the rock? I think it's a Bible story. When a storm comes, if you built your house on the sand and a storm comes in, your house is going to flop. Right. If you book appointments just to book appointments, the appointments are going to be trash. If we book appointments with people that are in pain, that's the same way that we're building our house on the rock. When there's a big storm that comes through, you're going to be able to challenge and you're going to be able to provide a ton of value. Okay. Any other ahas here?
David, the note I wrote was relentless pursuit of the importance around the scheduled appointment, instead of just making the calls, booking the appointments, and then wondering on the day they're supposed to show up if they're going to. This is truly a system that they're either going to show up or you're going to free up your time, and you'd be better off having a coffee with a family or member or a friend and wasting an hour waiting on somebody to show up that's ghosting you. So this is just a protection of your own time and mindset. And it is a relentless pursuit of the importance around the scheduled appointment. And if they can't share in that importance, then it's unimportant to block that time.
Mm-hmm.
It really is empowering. It's awesome. I wish I would have had that, you know.
Hey, better yet, Teddy. Now you have it now.
Yeah, right. That's awesome.
Okay, awesome, guys. Any other ahas before we move to the next piece of the puzzle here? One more?
I just want to know how many people actually would text you back, oh, I'm sorry, I got busy, I can't come this morning, but I do want to talk to you.
But I mean, you did. when I texted you, you did. So I mean, I'll pick on you there, right?
Okay.
And to be honest, I did the same thing with an appointment I had yesterday. The individual said, "Oh, I totally forgot it's a holiday here in Canada. Like, let me reschedule it on Thursday. Do you have any time Thursday?" Like, it's very much so. The reason that that's gonna work is because if you go through the questions and you're able to find a piece of pain For example, hey, what's one thing you could implement inside your business? Lead generation. Okay, how is not having enough leads impacting your business right now? Oh, it's impacting your goal of doing X, Y, and Z. Okay, if you could focus on an additional type of lead generation, what would that be? Awesome. If you did do social media, how many additional transactions do you feel like you'd be able to get? Awesome. That's amazing. That's super exciting. Are you familiar with Patty Spiller in my office? Yes? Amazing. Patty actually did an additional XYZ in volume in the past 3 months, specifically from social media. So, and then you close the appointment. It's very easy to follow up because you know exactly why they're going to meet you. You know exactly. If I were to just say, hey, are you hitting your goals? No, you're not. That's exactly why we need to meet. Does that provide you any value? Does that put you in control? Do you know what their pain points are? As soon as we find out a pain, as soon as we do a little needs analysis, does that add a little bit more spice?
Yeah, and I think that that's the number one thing is just making sure that we're asking the right questions and good quality, purposeful questions. So I feel like that's really helped me is with setting appointments is making sure that I'm asking those questions so that they will have that chance of showing up. I feel like in the beginning for me was just like, hey, do you want to go grab a coffee and talk about your business? It was easy for them to say, nah, I'm good. But now it's more like, okay, well, I kind of know an idea of, and I gave a story. And that's the one thing I've learned from David is that if I haven't experienced a story, I can go share somebody else's story. And that's how I sold in real estate as well. It's like I didn't know it all, but I would hear somebody in my office and I would share that story. So this is no different. And that's really helped me move the needle for me.
Thank you for bringing that up. And the last piece of the pie that I want to go into is what if these cold calls were predictable? And some of you know where I'm going to go with this. Has anybody ever seen me draw out this triangle? Has anybody ever seen that from me before?
I don't think so.
Okay. Has anybody ever played whack-a-mole?
Yes.
Why are you, okay, you guys know what whack-a-mole is. Amazing. Why would you play whack-a-mole in your business with your prospecting? Most people are just friggin' guessing. They're guessing. They're playing whack-a-mole. They don't know who's going to convert on the phones. Is that fair that if we're just picking up the phone and dialing, it's not predictable? It's going to be a waste of your time a little bit?
Yep.
However, what if we were to have a triangle for that? Okay, so if I'm looking, and I'm trying to, the glare is a little bit weird there, but if I'm looking at this triangle, the top of the triangle is who we want to target. You know, I'd say the top two, okay? But at the bottom, just so you understand what the bottom is, the bottom individuals are individuals who are secret agents. They have 1 to 2 deals, their number isn't online, their emails, you know, they're not opening up their emails, all that stuff. That's the majority of agents. We do not want to call the majority of the agents because we're going to be wasting our time. To be honest as well, taking it a step further, who's going to be more motivated to grow their business? Somebody who's a producing agent who's down by 30%, or an agent who's only usually a part-time agent doing Uber on the side? Who's going to be more prone to booking an appointment? Somebody who doesn't care about their business or somebody who's actively being impacted by the state of the market?
Someone's being affected by the state of the market.
Bingo. If I'm looking over here, the top 2 types of agents you can lead generate and cold call right now are agents doing between 5 to 8 million in volume that are down at least 30% in volume or more. I'll give you a hint though. I'll give you this analogy. Let's imagine that you're a team leader at a market center and you're a salaried employee and you're making $1 million in net income. Okay. You're a team leader at a brokerage, you're CEO there, you're making $1 million in net income. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, your OP, your boss comes and he chops down your commission or your income by 30%. Okay. Let's assume that you're making $1 million and over the course of a shift in the market, you go from $1 million to 700,000. That's a loss of 300,000. That's a pretty big effect on somebody's lifestyle. However, if we're talking about somebody who was making 120 grand and they go from making 120 grand to 100 grand, who feels that more? The person who went from 1 million to 700 or 1 million to 500, or somebody who went from doing 120 to 100? Who's feeling that more?
The lower.
Yeah.
I would challenge you. I mean, like, I know a lot of big agents that have moved due to the fact that they were making so much and their income got dropped by $300,000. Think about that. I know that the agents who are going to be more prone to making moves are the individuals who have a bigger, because it's going from $300,000 is a lot of income. If the market's only affecting some individuals by a couple transactions, they might not even feel that as much. The people that are dropping dramatically down in production might feel it a little bit more, but guess what? We're gonna call them both anyways. So it doesn't even matter because we're gonna call them both anyways. I just want you guys to be aware of it on why they'd be booking appointments with you. Truthfully, I know that the easiest appointments to book are the people higher up in production. Okay. Guys, I'm losing my my voice here. So give me some feedback here. What are we thinking about the pyramid?
Well, I mean, David, the aha for me in that is, I mean, what you're sharing and saying, it aligns with people who are business owners and business minded, right? They're not hobbyists. They take what they do seriously. And so when they do see that change in their revenue or business production, they're open to solutions. So they want to find that solution.
Love that. That's awesome, guys. Hey, I want to thank you so much for attending, and I also want to implement something into everybody's calendar. Okay, I am going to be running. If you're in business with me, I'm going to be running weekly scripting and role play sessions. We're going to be role playing that exact same script. We're going to be going through it. We're going to be going into breakout rooms, and we're going to practice objection handles. We're going to practice failing forward, and we're going to get really, really, really sharp. Okay. I will be emailing everybody on this call a couple different times on a couple different days, and then we're going to set it in stone. Is that something that you guys would see value in if we were to script and role play and get really sharp for 30 minutes a week max?
Heck yeah. Let's go.
I know that because 90% of my clients are also saying, David, when are we scripting? I'm like, well, how about we just get all of my people together and we'll do it from there.
Let's do it.
Amazing, guys. Hey, before we boogie here, just to respect your time, did we get some value out of this?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
Okay, amazing, guys. We'll be doing another one, not next week, but the week after, on what to do when we actually get to the appointment, okay? So these are going to be calls that we do every other week, solely based on skill building. Because at the end of the day, you guys know that analogy. The lumberjack who spends a couple hours a day sharpening his knife is going to cut down way more trees than the guy who's going hard at it all day with the dull axe.
Yep. Very good.
Love it.
These calls are going to happen every other week. In addition, we're going to be doing some role playing on a weekly basis because I want you all to be at the top of your companies. I want you all to be hitting your goals. Okay?
Very good. Thank
Are
you,
you
David.
going to share your handout, or we just go by our notes?
Sorry?
Are you going to share your handout?
You're going to be getting this recording. I'll get you the slides. I'll get you the recording, Penny. You can
Perfect.
do whatever you
The
want.
slides, like, are you going to hand that out?
To be honest, though, I tried to make the slides as blank as possible. I tried to make the slides as blank as possible, to be fair. So I'll send you the recording too. Okay, guys?
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Bye,
David.
everybody.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.
Nice meeting you guys.